Hello everyone, this is Ari Moshe Wolf of Heart and Soul Centered Astrology. In today's video, I want to offer an insight on Neptune now retrograding back into Pisces. This is a very strong culmination signature. Neptune is only going to stay at 29 degrees, so this is like the last degree of the zodiac. It's going to station direct in December. Just before then, Saturn will station direct in November. By next year, they are both going to enter into Aries and then move into a new cycle. So this is kind of like the beginning of the end of this particular phase of the Saturn-Neptune cycle. It's very much closure-oriented, completion, which means surrender, letting go, playing out a cycle, allowing things to complete itself. This is one of the more existential dilemmas I think we face along the spiritual journey. While we are powerful manifestors, and I want to speak to this in a moment, there's simultaneously this truth to the limits and the boundaries and the capacities that we all have at any particular moment in time to make change and make manifest new conditions. So this particular cycle says something needs to play itself out. And we can't transcend it. We can't be like, oh, I don't want to have these experiences. I want to be in the new phase. It would be no different than it being like 3 o'clock in the morning and saying, I'm sick of this darkness. I want the sunrise. We have to surrender to respect and embrace the unique curriculum that comes. And so I think with that, it can really emphasize this sort of Piscean culminative kind of energy with an extra sense of weightedness or maybe stuckness relative to the conditions and the crystallizations of Saturn. That sense of, wow, things are hard. I don't know how to find the way out. We might feel like a wave being crashed about by the ocean with very little power or agency or control. So there can be a deep sense of smallness and this inability to make changes. So I want to offer first, there's a deep power and beauty in being able to surrender to our conditions as they are with the consciousness of this is the gift that love is offering to us right now. This surrender, however, doesn't mean becoming this idea of who we're supposed to be. Well, my life is like this, so I'm supposed to be living like this, right? Or this is my fate. It doesn't mean making conclusions about outcome or who we are or what we're supposed to be experiencing. It's just simply recognizing what is right now is a deeply relevant and profound and sacred starting point. Just having a little bit of an inkling of faith and trust in that, even if it's like we can't quite see where the freedom is, where the liberation is beyond this particular phase. That gesture of trust allows us to anchor a little bit more in prayer and availability and openness simply to learn and receive the teachings. What is the deeper gift that the conditions of our life are wanting to show us right now? To even get there, we have to be able to meet a sort of shame or guilt or unworthiness, right, that we might be carrying that essentially says, I'm being punished. Or life is like, you can't have this, it's my karma. There's never any truth to your karma means you can't do X, Y, and Z. While on a manifest level, there might be phases where certain things aren't possible, it's not because you're not allowed to do X, Y, and Z, like abstractly in and of itself. It actually might be that the phase of the life that we're experiencing right now, while there are certain limits, is preparing us to actually become available for the X, Y, and Z that we simply cannot happen right now. Like it's not this like external, this is not allowed to happen. It's an internal, we can't do it. We're not available for it. We're not vibrationally aligned with that capacity, be it financially, romantically, whatever we want in life, whatever new conditions of beauty and holiness and sacred and purpose and meaning, we actually have to allow ourselves to purify and to grow. And there's no way to get there other than by allowing ourselves to receive not the curriculum that we're telling life to give us, the ways that we want to learn. We must resign as our own self-elected, best education curriculum developer, right? There's a curriculum coordinator out there that's also actually in here, but it's not who we think we are. And we have to trust that, respect it. So coming back to the idea of manifestation, I want to share another angle to this. There's a really powerful teaching from A Course in Miracles. And you know, the crux of A Course in Miracles says there are no limits, none. in terms of the capacity for how miracles can manifest. There are no order of difficulties in miracles because there are also no order of difficulties in problems or issues, right? So the dilemmas that we have in life, one dilemma isn't actually more real, more important, or more unsolvable than another. And in the same sense, the miracles that manifest in our life aren't on a gradation of more or less miraculous. They're all extensions of love, which knows no limits or no bounds. So there's a teaching, the healer that has healed themselves can say to the mountain, move, and the mountain can move. So this is also true. And yet it's also true that we don't just jump there, right? But purification is necessary along this journey. Miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. So we are both in our deepest essence unlimited. And this is where the humility of applying Saturn with this Neptune is really, really important right now. We are limited relative to the unique karmic realities that we are each working through. We can't transcend them or avoid them. And yet there is a possibility along this journey of knowing a life, knowing a reality that is not bounded by any rules. Just think about it, right? Like, how could the infinite ever be arbitrarily bounded, right? At a certain point, the limits of this Earth School experience aren't relevant for us anymore. And at that stage of realization, of course, you can say to the mountain, move, and the mountain can move, because the command of love is more powerful than the structures. The structures are not primary to existence. But we have to respect and embrace them as relevant to our current present moment curriculum. So in this, while it may not be that we're all going to be arriving at a place in the next couple years of moving mountains, I think there's this really alive and potential promise in these signatures, especially if we can feel that prayerfully we are on this path of healing. We have some faith and trust in that there is an awakening to a greater dimension of capacity and light, an agency and command and authority in the love that we are, that is so much greater than what we maybe currently understand or know right now. So let us deeply trust that the conditions of our life are here to teach us. They're friendly, they're supportive, they're a gift for us. And if we don't understand them, if they feel heavy and weighted, if that Saturn dimension of the crystallization of the forms and the conditions and the structures and the patterns feel too concrete, something wants to break. There's an opening there. It might be taking us in a direction and an experience that's uncomfortable. We have to go through it. So again, this culmination of a cycle says we have to embrace it. It's evolutionary necessity. We can't rush ahead to make this a new phase, but we can embrace it for all it's worth. Jeff Green taught one of the beautiful qualities of a balsamic completion cycle like this, especially at the end of Pisces, is this ability to cultivate a sort of, larger point of reflection on the entire cycle that came before now, leading to this moment. In fact, it's been a 35-year cycle or so since the last Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So many of us can actually even think about this in our own charts. It was in Capricorn, Sag Capricorn, beginning of Capricorn. We're completing a whole 35-year cycle and beginning a whole new one. So there's this greater capacity to self-reflect and understand what are the seeds that are now being planted. Think of the Saturn, Neptune right now, at the end of the zodiac, beginning to move direct, stopping their retrograde. It's like they're germinating. That's probably the best analogy for what's happening right now, right? They're under the earth. You can't really see them, but they're germinating. There's something that's beginning to be nourished by all of the content of the past. Let it recycle. Let this cycle come to full completion. Let it be thorough, so we can have the freedom and the spaciousness inside and the joy to walk this new phase right now. So many plants take a lot of time underground before you really begin to see the new fruits. This particular, it's interesting, this particular phase reminds me of hexagram 23, which is a stripping away, things falling apart. The last line in hexagram 23 corresponds to this sort of simultaneity of something ending and beginning at the same time. It talks about this fruit falling from the tree, right? It's ripe and it falls. And just while it falls, it's ending. And in that very moment, something new is being birthed. The seed, something new is beginning to come into creation at the same time. So it might be hard to embrace the falling, like just the gesture of falling, letting go. Oh, this is the last fruit, I'm letting it go, right? but all of the seeds and the trees and the beautiful blossoming that will come from here is so much greater. Let us open to that and create the space for that in our hearts. This coming weekend is the 3rd online evolutionary astrology conference. You can check this out in the description below. I'm going to be giving a talk on the idea of letting go to receive as it relates to Jupiter, where oftentimes there are these big expansive periods that happen in our life after we're fired, after a death, right? After something really difficult ends in our life, it clears the way for a new opportunity that is much more relevant to our own unique soul path. So I'm going to be teaching about that, giving some really interesting examples, and I'm one of 15 presenters. So you can attend the whole lecture, the whole conference, or you can actually choose to register for individual lectures if you feel more inclined to just picking a few. So along with that, check out the description for all of my work, my services, my sessions, my training program, my community membership, and my newsletter. Thank you so much for watching.